June 20th, 2015. It's Day of the National Flag. It's Gas Sector Day. It's Martyrs Day, certainly a holiday to die for. It's West Virginia Day. And of course, it's World Refugee Day. Always make sure to subscribe to PodNasty on iTunes and YouTube and listen to PodNasty on SoundCloud and Stitcher. Money in the Bank was a good show. I actually think WWE has benefited from the lack of a long build because then they can't overthink themselves. They're forced to tell the story with more immediacy and urgency. And so I didn't have too much of a problem with the build-up, outside of the fact that Seth Rollins seems to just continue to lose non-title matches. It's like the Wade Barrett theorem, where you win the matches that count, you win the championships and the accolades, but then that just gives WWE license to have their guys lose in non-title matches, which I just think is backwards. Again, it was a good card. I had no problem with Sheamus winning Money in the Bank. No problem whatsoever. I like the fact that Money in the Bank always seems to give us a surprise winner, and you can't honestly call these swerves. You can't call this like, well, they're just doing it for the sake of doing it. Anybody who wins Money in the Bank has a year to be built up into a viable contender before cashing it in. Once you win Money in the Bank, now it's WWE. The onus is on them to book this guy properly and to have him built up into a monster. And yes, Sheamus is not off to a good start, and we have seen in years past the Money in the Bank champion lose match after match, which again, I don't agree with, but I've seen a lot of people saying, well, how could Sheamus win this? This is just a swerve. Well, no, it's not. This ties into what Money in the Bank is. It's just opportunity. It's WWE's get-rich-quick scheme. All these guys have a chance to climb a ladder and immediately become relevant. So it's anybody's game. I think right now we're entering a territory where there should never be a favorite in Money in the Bank. Yeah, there's maybe the biggest star in Money in the Bank. Man, there's a guy who's with the most momentum, but Money in the Bank is a lot like March Madness. March Madness is always a big favorite that goes in, and they don't always win. Sometimes they get knocked out early. Look at Kentucky. They're the huge favorite, undefeated. They made a deep run, but they didn't win. That's what Money in the Bank is. More so than Royal Rumble, which Royal Rumble, usually the favorite does win. There's always somebody who goes in there who's being pegged as, yeah, this guy's probably going to win the Royal Rumble. It was Roman Reigns this year. It was Batista last year. Usually the Royal Rumble winner, if there's a favorite, wins. But with Money in the Bank, if you look at the history, favorite doesn't always win. Jack Swagger won in 2010 at WrestleMania 26, wasn't the favorite. Both of CM Punk's wins, he wasn't the favorite. WrestleMania 24, Chris Jericho was thought by many to be the guy who was going to win that match. WrestleMania 25 the following year, a lot of people were shocked that CM Punk repeated. A lot of people thought Christian was going to win that match. Money in the Bank is where upsets occur. It's a free-for-all. It's everybody climbs a ladder, and whoever climbs it and snatches out a briefcase wins. There should be a little bit of tumultuousness behind who wins that match. So I have no problem with Sheamus winning. Now, it doesn't look like he's off to the best start because he lost to Dean Ambrose on Raw, which is just more of the same, that WWE says, okay, he's got the briefcase, we can just have him lose, but he still got the briefcase. And to be honest, as much as that seems backwards, and it is, if Sheamus wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, are you going to remember all those times that he lost? I mean, now it's a whole new ballgame. All he has to do is cash in that briefcase, and it's a whole new ballgame. So, again, it was an okay match. I don't think we're going to see a great ladder match again that's truly memorable until people learn to fly. I think we've seen all that we've needed to see out of ladder matches. I can't remember the last time in the modern era that I saw a ladder match and was just like, wow, it was incredible. I remember that match between Dolph Ziggler and Luke Harper, but that was just hard to watch. It was just a really physical match where they were just beating each other down the ladder. That was just hard for me to watch. It's a good Money in the Bank match. Good, not great. Nikki Bella defeating Paige. Again, had no problem with that. I liked the ode to Dusty with the Dusty finish. I really liked how they pulled off that twin magic where Brie Bella got pinned, then she pulled out the stuffing out of her bra, and they had to restart the match. I liked that. I liked it. I liked that it was an ode to Dusty on the show. First major show since Dusty's death. You had to have a Dusty finish, and I thought we were going to get one again in the main event, but this was enough. This is more than enough. It tied into the storyline because we'd already seen Twin Magic the week before, so it wasn't really forced. So it accomplished a lot of different goals, and I liked it. Like the match, I liked the Bellas as heels. I mean, they're very good heels. It's a dynasty. It's a dynasty with the Bellas right now. The Bellas Divas Championship is a dynasty that a lot of people want to see brought down, and that's a good thing to say about women's wrestling. It's a good thing to say about the Divas division is that there's a champion that's a heel that evokes that much emotion out of people, to where I do feel that there's now a demand to, like, who is going to finally bring this empire down. Good for them. Big Show defeated Ryback by disqualification next. This match should have been a triple threat from the beginning. I don't know why they're dancing around and getting cute. Next. John Cena and Kevin Owens. My goodness, what a great match that was, huh? I thought John Cena and Kevin Owens, I hate this whole match of the year. I hate saying match of the year anytime before December. I think once you get to the end of the year, now you can have perspective, because there always seems to be a leader in the clubhouse. And every time you see a great match, oh, match of the year, everybody just kind of has this short-term memory in this 24-hour news cycle that everything is a match of the year if it's a really, really good match. But this was just a bang out. You know, they did a great job. And I didn't think they were going to be able to top their match from last month where they pulled out all the stops, but they did it again. And this time it was in front of a crowd with a pulse. I mean, there were multiple times where they just stopped and gave a standing ovation to this match. They were chanting, "This is awesome," all throughout. There were multiple near falls. Again, I would have liked to see Kevin Owens win. If you're going to do a rematch so quickly after, you don't give time to breathe. You don't give Kevin Owens that much time to gloat about his win. But Kevin Owens hasn't missed a beat. Kevin Owens hasn't lost a step by losing to John Cena. He comes out looking better than John Cena, even though John Cena got his win back because Cena was off of Raw, and Owens continues to run roughshod. So, just great match, and a great decision to continue to keep Kevin Owens strong. I have no idea why the Primetime Players are your new tag team champions. The New Day, going into Money in the Bank, were among the hottest heels in WWE. Now it seems that they're being cooled off. Who cares about the Primetime Players? Who cares? What are they contributing? There needs to be a chase behind them winning these titles, but it's like they just kind of emerged in the Elimination Chamber match. In the next month, they're tag team champions. There's no drama. I mean, these big-time heels in the New Day had these belts, and they could have just ran roughshod across the roster with this dynasty. No, just lost it the next month. I don't understand it. There's a demand for a chase, for somebody to finally bring down the New Day. The Primetime Players, if they were going to be those guys, okay, but at least give us some time. Build this thing up over a couple of months like you did with Ken Cesaro. But no, just won the match. So I have a sick feeling that it's making me sick that the New Day might be on their way down, that there might be kind of a peeling back on the New Day. I really hope I'm wrong. You could already see that they're starting to kind of abandon that positivity gimmick, to where Xavier Woods is having a tough time keeping the discipline to be positive and wants to heal out on that crowd. So I don't know what direction they're going with the New Day. I just think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But they lost the titles, and I think it's just only downhill from here. I want to see them win the titles back. I want to see them be a focal point of WWE television, because the crowds are really into them. People love chanting New Day sucks, and there is no demand whatsoever to see the Primetime Players as tag team champions. By the way, you know, I like Titus O'Neil, and I think he's a big star, and I like his comeback, and it's really fun to get into and watch. How dangerous does it look, though? Him just, like, slinging people across the ring like he thinks wrestling is real? Very dangerous, if you ask me. Seth Rollins over Dean Ambrose, you know, it was a very good win that Seth Rollins received. Finally getting a singles win on his own in a ladder match, albeit. But again, I thought it was going to be a dusty finish, where they were going to come down with the title and they were going to not know who to give the match to. But it's good that Seth Rollins won what it looks to be a blow-off match, because I don't want to see any more of Rollins and Reigns and Ambrose and the Shield business. Just peel off from this for a little bit. Let's just stop with the Shield thing, okay? Good sign that Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns are going to be feuding. It's a good sign that Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar are now going to be feuding. Ambrose will be okay. Let's just peel off of this so that they can establish themselves as single stars. It looks like Seth Rollins may be headed for a babyface turn. Monday night on Raw, Seth Rollins went face-to-face with Brock Lesnar, who has been announced as opponent for the Battleground pay-per-view. Kind of an odd dynamic. This small world champion heel against this large monstrosity of a man who's accepted as a babyface. I don't know if you want to turn Brock Lesnar heel. I think you just want to get a good match between these two. And if Seth Rollins wins, Brock Lesnar shakes his hand. If Brock Lesnar wins, Brock Lesnar shakes his hand. Brock Lesnar does not need this championship. Seth Rollins needs a championship, but if he's going to keep losing matches, it's just going to make him and the title look like a joke. I want to see a straight up all-time wrestling match between these two. I don't want to see any interference. I don't want to see any stipulations. I want to see an all-time wrestling match, which I know they can have. I want it to be the level of the Royal Rumble match that John Cena, Seth Rollins, and Brock Lesnar had. They can have an all-time match if you just give them the time. And this will be the type of thing that really entrenches Seth Rollins as a main eventer. So hopefully at Battleground, as Triple H put it, there's some pressure, and Seth Rollins needs to prove himself as a world champion. Seth Rollins really could use this win. I mean, it really won't hurt Brock Lesnar all that much if he loses. He's a special attraction. I mean, we saw him lose to John Cena and Triple H, but when WWE got serious and booked him like a monster, good as new. So if he has a great match against Seth Rollins and Seth Rollins manages to win it, it's not going to hurt Brock Lesnar. It's not. It's going to be fine. Also on Raw, really the other only noteworthy story that came out of it was Kevin Owens powerbombing MGK, which, wrestling fans can be very stubborn when it comes to outsiders. Wrestling fans are very territorial. If a big star comes from the outside world, they're not going to be quick to kiss their feet. And MGK is somebody who is a fan of WWE, who is from the area in Cleveland where they had Raw, and who is friends with John Cena. So there is a connection there, but still, he's always going to be seen as like an outsider, especially, the way he dresses. He's got this millennial look to him, covered in tattoos. He's a white rapper. So the traditional wrestling fans, those hardcores who are more straight up and want their serious wrestling, they're not going to really take too kindly to an MGK. He's always going to kind of have a heel vibe about him. And WWE tried its best to market him as a babyface in his hometown, performing. Nothing unassuming about that. And Kevin Owens came and powerbombed him, and I think Kevin Owens looked like a babyface in powerbombing MGK. I thought it looked kind of hokey that they didn't show MGK going into the pit. I kind of know why, because he probably bounced up. There was probably an air mattress out there. It would have looked cornier. But I like the fact that they gave Kevin Owens a time again on a big stage on Raw where he continues to ruffle feathers. I like that. I like that he powerbombed MGK. And they're continuing to just run with him. I mean, he is pretty much the biggest star in WWE right now. Raw, NXT, SmackDown, he's all over the product, beating people up. And they're not trying to make him a cool heel. He's facing Dolph Ziggler. He's facing Zack Ryder, guys who fans like, who the internet wrestling community likes. And he's beating these guys up. He's doing the same thing in NXT, going head-to-head with Samoa Joe, taking out Sami Zayn. I like it. I like it a lot. And if WWE just continues to keep Kevin Owens strong, again, there's this formula that they have with John Cena and with a lot of WWE superstars where it's this 3-match formula. Well, X wins the first match, Y wins the second match, and third match is a disqualification, or X wins the third. It's very formulaic, and I think it kind of takes away. I think it would do so much more for the guy who eventually wins the feud if he just won all 3 matches. Yeah, I would have no problem with Kevin Owens winning all 3 matches against John Cena. Head to head. He just wins a match. It's not going to hurt John Cena. John Cena, his place in WWE history is cemented. His legacy is sealed. But Owens wins the first match clean. John Cena wins the second match clean. I would imagine they're going to have a third match at Battleground. The third Owens-Cena match seems to be a stage more set for SummerSlam. And who knows? We saw 4 matches from Rusev and Cena, so maybe we'll see 4 matches from Owens and Cena. But I really do see Owens going over and eventually winning this feud. Whether it's 3-1, whether it's 2-1. I really do see Owens winning this feud, because otherwise they're putting all these resources into him. If you just beat him and if you just have John Cena go over, John Cena's not getting any younger. So Kevin Owens, he's not getting any younger. He needs this win. Because you can't market this guy as a future of WWE. I know that's the tagline, and I know he's coming from NXT and he's a developmental champion. Kevin Owens is a future of nothing. He's the present of WWE. The man he's in his 30s, and he's an old 30. 31 years of age, and he's an old 30. He's an independent wrestler 30. Worked for years on the independent wrestling circuit where they're just reckless, no regard, and they're jumping through tables and ladders, and they're doing all these crazy spots, and they're not really that protected. So he's like a Kobe Bryant 30. Like, didn't go to college, just went straight to the pros, and so you got to account for those 4 years. Like, whatever Kobe Bryant's age is, you got to add 4 years to it because he didn't have that college career. That's what Kevin Owens is. History of knee problems, you got it. If they're going to attach this rocket to him, you can't dilly-dally around. You can't just have him get a taste and then scale him back, because there's no telling how much longer his body is going to be able to hold up, if it does. Because remember, he hasn't gone into that full-time schedule yet. Kevin Owens is going back and forth between NXT and WWE. He's still predominantly an NXT competitor. He hasn't engaged in that full-time schedule yet. Can his body hold up? I don't know. These are the questions you need to ask, but if you're going to have him in a feud with John Cena, your top star, I say give him the world until he breaks down. Speaking of injuries, it was an unfortunate injury for Tyson Kidd against Samoa Joe. Apparently the story is that Samoa Joe, he hit the muscle buster on Tyson Kidd during a dark match. Tyson Kidd suffered a neck injury. Reportedly, there's no heat on Samoa Joe. It was seen as a freak accident. I know people like Bret Hart seem to feel differently, that Samoa Joe was reckless with his muscle buster maneuver. I mean, it does look like a relatively safe move. It's just basically like a suplex. It's a modified suplex, but unfortunately, Tyson Kidd suffered a neck injury. I mean, I know that there were stories that Stone Cold Steve Austin and Edge reached out to Tyson Kidd to offer words of encouragement. I'm sure Tyson Kidd appreciates the gesture, but it's not exactly the most uplifting gesture that you can get. Like, two guys whose career ended from neck injury are reaching out to Tyson Kidd and saying, "Hang in there, kid. Thanks." Maybe Kurt Angle would have been a better choice to reach out to Tyson Kidd, because he won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck and is still going strong to this day. Like, God forbid if I ever had a drug problem or something and I was struggling with drug abuse, I don't want to hear from Lindsay Lohan. I don't want words of encouragement from her, whose career was derailed by a drug problem. I want to hear from Robert Downey Jr. I want to hear from somebody who overcame. Can somebody who has suffered from a neck injury and overcame it, can that guy or girl reach out to Tyson Kidd and say, "Hey, it's going to be okay"? Because I would be scared to death if I'm Tyson Kidd and I'm hearing from all these guys whose careers were ended by neck injury. Again, it's a great gesture, and I think it's a very sweet thing to do, but it's not very encouraging to Tyson Kidd, who's currently suffering from a neck injury, to hear from people whose careers were ended by neck injury. Were they trying to give him life after wrestling advice? Because I'm not sure that's what he wants. I just hope Tyson Kidd is okay. Austin and Edge are some of the greatest stars of all time, but nothing against them. I'm just saying, in terms of counseling and career advice, maybe they should go with somebody with a better story in terms of neck injuries and how they overcame it. That's all I'm saying. Does that make me a bad guy? Nah, I've always been a bad guy. Remember to subscribe to PodNasty on YouTube and iTunes, and listen on SoundCloud and Stitcher. And if you'll excuse me, I'm going to the Martyrs' Day Parade.
Last October, I said John Cena was the most generous WWE top star of all time, and some of you politely and eloquently disagreed with me. But fast forward to Elimination Chamber, where he lost to a developmental champion in his first WWE match, and I'm happy to report I'm right.